This morning I got a question in my email about problem 23 in Module 1.2's content quiz. And so I'm sure if one student has a question, then maybe some others did as well. And I think this also probably was an issue on number 24 as well. So just want to make sure that I clarify any questions on problems 23 and 24 of the Module 1.2 content quiz. So this student's problem 23 had the quadratic equation x squared minus x plus 1 equals 0. And the student did what they should. They went ahead and they identified a, b, and c. I went ahead and just kind of recreated that. And then they're going to take a, b, and c, and they're going to go ahead and apply it to the quadratic formula. So I went ahead and typed out the quadratic formula here. I'm not sure why the parentheses got placed in there, but I couldn't get rid of them. So I think it's going to be okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in 1 every time we see A, -1 every time we see B, and 1 every time we get to C. So again, just a reminder, A is the number in front of x squared, that's 1. B is the number in front of x, that's -1. And C is the constant here. As long as your quadratic equation equals 0, that's what we're going to do and apply to the quadratic formula. So here we go. The opposite of b, so the opposite of -1 is +1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so -1 squared, -1 times -1 is +1, minus 4 times a, which was 1, times c, which is also 1. That is going to then simplify to 1 didn't change, plus or minus didn't change, the square root didn't change, but did clean up the inside here. And this student was perfect all the way here, that this looks great, right? And they went ahead and they simplified this just fine. 1 minus 4, after you multiply these three numbers, you get 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. And then on the bottom fraction, you get 2. Okay, so far so good. So I guess the question is, where did things go wrong? Was in the final step, they said, express your answer in the form a plus bi. Okay, we can do that, but the issue is that when we do a plus bi, they want two separate numbers that are separated out from this fraction. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and write that as the following. So we're going to write that as, give myself a little bit more room here. The a value is the value that is not going to be within that second term that contains the I. Now remember what I is I is the square root of 1, and that's a nice way for us to deal with this negative square root. So the negative on the inside of the square root can easily be taken care of by placing the I on the outside, because I, remember the definition of I is the square root of -1. So if we can think about the square root of -3 as the square root of -1 times the square root of 3, then it can simplify this way. So now I think we're ready to go, and we're ready to separate these values out into two different numbers. All right, so finally, I can go ahead and write this as, I don't want to write on top of myself here. I'm sorry about this. That's okay, I think. All right, one more shot at it here. Just a second, let me go ahead and move that over. Okay, we're going to put that here. All right, so here we go. So our first value needs to be that number without the I. So remember that division by 2 applies to both terms. So the number without the I is just going to be that 1 divided by 2. Okay, so that's fine. The 1 divided by 2 there is a half. And we got to include both the plus and the minus version. So we're going to go 1/2 plus the square root of 3 3i. So there's the first one. But remember that square root of 3i is also divided by 2. So I also have to divide that by 2 as well. So there's the first one. Remember, both of those are divided by 2, and they wanted those values separated out into their two different terms explicitly. So here comes the second one. This is going to include the minus. And if you want to, we can just copy and paste this. We'll copy that and paste it on in and include the minus. So I think probably where the student maybe was a little bit hung up was making sure that we separate out the two values into two distinct fractions, both of which have that denominator of 2 there. So go ahead and double check that into the homework and make sure that that's okay. So hopefully that video helped, and if there's any more questions, let me know. Oh, by the way, the content for Module 1.2 was a little bit late getting posted, so it's posted now and ready to go. Hope you all have a good week. Bye-bye.